We'll say 3, 2, 1. Welcome, everybody, to our training tonight. We're happy to have you here. Many of us have been in the business for a while and have learned some of this stuff, but some are new. And we know that a lot of people have been joining the business recently. And so Barb and I were talking last week and said, hey, people are asking for help with their words and for some basic skills. And how do you know what to say? And how do I get into a conversation? And tell me more and tell me more. So we thought it would be a good idea. There seems to be a nice demand now for some basic skill training. So we decided to set up a 4-week series. We will be here for the next 4 Tuesdays. And just for an hour each week, and this will be recorded, so you can share it with your downline teams on your own team trainings, or you can listen to it at an alternate time. If you need to review some things, it'll be here for you in the archive. So our first session tonight is about connecting and inviting. And, really, we know the importance of learning elements of our conversations that make them authentic and honest, that lift and acknowledge the folks that we're speaking with, and that help us connect and build those relationships. It's really the key to effective connections. And that's what we're here to help you with. And it's something that takes some skill and some work. So we're going to give you some word tracks and some great information tonight to help you develop those skills. But it's really makes your job so much easier when you can steer that conversation to where you want it to go. So oh, I'm sorry. Wait, we got to introduce our people, Barb. So we have
hello.
We have our host tonight. Our host tonight, Barb Lagoni, and Senior Master Coordinator that she is, and wonderful resource source of information for me for all these years, and my good friend. And that's me in the center, Pam Carey, a Senior Executive Coordinator. And we're blessed with the presence of Sam Classic today, a director out of Nebraska, and she's going to share her amazing story with you tonight. So we all know that for many of us, it was the philosophy and the mission, even the culture of Shaklee that brought us to this company. And once you experience the products and the people who are here at Shaklee, it's a place that you just want to stay. Many of us have seen that. So our chairman and CEO, Roger Barnett, talks about how our mission is to bring true wellness to the world in physical health, financial health, emotional health, and environmental health. And that's what we're all about. And Jeff Hill also has a nice quote there. So we want to be both a great business with good financial results and a good company that creates greater good in the world. And that's really what the top management is about at Shaklee, and it trickles all the way down to you and me. So just quickly, we know that building something that matters is a marathon, not a sprint. So we're going to be here for the duration and doing all we can do to help you with the skills that you need. For the next 4 weeks, our objectives are to help each of us improve our communication skills, especially as they relate to connecting and inviting, to create a system for serving customers, educating customers about products and business benefits through that new member appointment. We're going to talk about that. And also how to identify business partners so we can be duplicatable and we can grow and advance in rank. We're also going to talk to you about generating 1,000 new PGV by the end of the 4 weeks. And that's something that's going to help each and every one of us. So let's just dial down into session 1 today. And our objectives here are to understand the benefits of a Shaklee business, both tangible and intangible. We're going to talk about that in just a couple minutes. We're going to help you create a clear picture of what we want in our business and what we want for us and what we want for others, because there's a difference there. We also want to know why we want to develop a Shaklee business. That's often the first step, is looking at yourself in the mirror and wanting to know or wanting to identify that why. Because when we get stuck in our business, we need to go back to that why. And lastly, we're going to begin learning communication skills that will help us have those honest, authentic conversations that people are just so responsive to. So without further ado, we're going to introduce Sam Classic. As I said, she's a director from Nebraska, and she's got a really great story here. So I'm not going to say anything else, but hello, Sam.
Hi, thank you guys so much for having me. Excited to be a part of this amazing training. So yeah, my story kind of has 2 parts, but what led me to be here right now with Shackley is that I have 4 kids, and my third son was born, and it was kind of a very traumatic experience. We kind of knew right away that something wasn't right. And eventually we found out he had a very rare genetic disorder. So rare, in fact, he was the first baby at that hospital to be diagnosed with it. So we were learning right alongside with the doctors. We spent 6.5 weeks in the NICU, just learning about his disorder, getting him ready to come home. He needed to be on oxygen at night. We had to get a feeding tube surgically placed in him because he was too weak to suck and swallow safely. Basically, he just needed to be supervised constantly because he was so weak. If he had pulled up his blanket or something, he was not strong enough to move his head from side to side. So like we couldn't keep our eyes off of him. And then he also needs nightly injections for the entirety of his life. So I was learning how to use needles and all of these other things. And it was just a really hard, I was sad, I was exhausted. And how Shackley kind of came into the picture is one of my dearest friends was reaching out to me just to support me, pray with me, just be a good friend. And I was sharing with her how after my first 2 children were born, you go through that postnatal period. For me at least, hormones all over the place, super like brain fog, complete exhaustion. And I was telling her like this time, like that is not an option because I'm spending, 10 hours a day in the NICU. I need to advocate for my son. I need to learn all of these things, these new skills just to care for him. And then I have to go home, and I have a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old that deserve an energetic, loving mom because they don't know what's going on either. So it was just a really rough time. And she was like, hey, I have something that might help. And she introduced me to the vitalizing plan. And honestly, I didn't even look up Shackley. I was just like, whatever, if you say it's going to help me, sign me up. I trust you. And truly, it sounds dramatic, but it felt dramatic. I told my husband, I'm like, I feel like a different human, like after 14 days, 2 weeks. And that's what kind of got me like looking into who Shackley was. Like I have always taken vitamins. I didn't understand why simply switching a brand for a couple weeks would make that big of a difference. And so, yeah, I started my little investigation on Shackley and why these were different. And it was kind of a really like beautiful pairing because as I was learning about how we were going to need to change our life to better care for Paxton, I was also learning about Shackley, and I'm learning, okay, we need to get out like anything toxic. We need to switch all our cleaners. Well, guess what? Shackley has that. I needed, to really work on our immune system so we weren't bringing home things to this vulnerable new baby. And like, guess what? Shackley has that. And so it just became like this really great union. And we obviously Shackleyized our home. I switched everything, and I saw not just in myself, but my family just improve. Our 2 little boys, that were always ear infections and doctor appointments, and like that halted. It's not to say they didn't get little colds or coughs, but there is no like monthly pediatrician appointment anymore. And my husband, who has always had just chronic migraines, he was like, I haven't had a migraine in like a month, and his snoring got better, which was great for me. And so it was wonderful. I just felt like so confident for maybe the first time in motherhood. And it was a very scary time, obviously, because we were trying to figure out this new life. But I just felt really good about the choices I was making for our family.
And there they are.
And there is everybody. So yeah, that's kind of like part 1. And then part 2 is when I said yes to this business. And that was after a year of You know, just being a very loyal and like it says on the screen, maybe a little obsessed customer. I was buying everything all the time, talking about it nonstop. I was basically doing the business without doing the business. And so it just made sense to me. And I was working in insurance, and I loved working. I didn't necessarily, this job didn't like bring me fulfillment, but it was something that was mine outside of, you know, being a caregiver. And so it was really hard for me to give up that piece. And I had to. There was just no way for me to work around someone else's schedule, because ours was insane with Paxton. We had home health care coming in a couple times a week. He still to this day, we have daily therapies outside of doctor's appointments. His specialists are all over the country we fly to, and it just didn't work anymore. And so this was also a great option to give me something that was mine. Because I was just kind of starved for a purpose and community. And that was something that I had really felt like I had lost. We couldn't, you know, I didn't do play dates with him. I didn't really leave the house unless we were going to a doctor's appointment, and getting plugged in with this community, which, I mean, you're all a part of it. So you know how special it is. It's different. It's different. The Shaklee community is different. And right away, I was like, I need more of this in my life. I had, you know, really, as I let go of my job and was, you know, kind of stagnant in life, I was just like every day, like pumping, feeding, injections, all of these things, you know, changing diapers. I just kind of, I mean, lost myself basically. I had kind of forgotten the things that make me me, and the parts of myself that, you know, like I really like that. And, oh, I can be funny. And, you know, I went to school for performing arts. And so this has brought creativity back into my life again. And it really, it's just been this amazing like reconnection to like all my favorite parts of myself that I sort of just like closed off for a while. And I didn't realize that I had done it until I dived into this opportunity. And the work we get to do, and connecting with people and helping people and serving people. And it's just fulfilling every single day. And I know that it has just made me better as a wife, as a mom, as a daughter, as a friend, and just as me. Like, I am a better version of myself because I get to do this. And I get to share with my kids the importance of health, and they get to see me working hard at something and serving them as their mom, but then they get to watch me serve other people as well. And I think
Oh, that's good.
really, really special.
Very nice.
yeah.
Nice, Sam. That's excellent, Sam. Excellent. Pam?
Sam, I am blessed to know you. And I knew it when I first met you that you were special. And every time I hear you speak or see you on social media, I'm reminded again and again and again. So I'm so glad you chose Shaklee, and I'm so glad Shaklee found you. But it's really true. This community is like no other. That's one of the intangible benefits, but there are many tangible benefits that come along with this business, as we all know. And those of you who are here have said yes to this business for probably all of these reasons. But for me, I'm going to weave a little bit of my story through this. But for me, of course, health is first. My mom always told me, when you've got your health, you've got your wealth. I was raised on Shaklee, and I obviously love the fact that we can have wonderful health with the Shaklee products. That I grew up on them and have come to love them. The income is amazing. And I was attracted to it initially because I was able to pay for my products. And when I learned that I could earn my products for free, I knew that I was needing to take a look at this business, because I knew I was going to be using the products for my lifetime, that my Shaklee habit was not negotiable. And I thought, wow, if I can get them for free, I need to know about that. So what little did I know that it was possible initially to work on a part-time basis. I raised 5 children while building my business from 1998 when I started as a new distributor. and raised my 5 kids. My youngest is now a senior in high school. My oldest is 26. And on a part-time basis, I have earned checks up to $8,000 and $9,000 a month. And it's just an incredible income that keeps on coming with these consumable products. Travel also is a tangible benefit. Shaklee brings us 5-star resorts and beautiful places all over the world. Travel for me was really appealing because I never did much travel when I was little. I lived in a small town outside of Buffalo, New York, and our vacations were more of a cabin at a local lake. We did go to one trip when I grew up. I rode an airplane one time as I was raised in my childhood. We went to Florida when I was in 6th grade. It's the last time I was at an amusement park. I've qualified for my first dream trip in 2009. And at 35 years old, I realized that I had never traveled to a tropical vacation before. And I was going to Mexico. And I remember asking my friends, like, what do I pack? I don't even think I owned a bathing suit. Isn't that terrible? I mean, I took my kids to the pool, but I never went in. And I don't know. I just didn't know about that stuff. And I didn't realize how closed off I was to all this. There was a whole world out there and I could access that from Shaklee. There's tax advantages in monthly car payments. And, for many people, that's a necessity. I didn't have that need, but I appreciate that so much now and talk about it to many people, the financial security, providing a source of income. But, our good friend and colleague, Margaret Trost, she shortly before I joined the company as a distributor, she had lost her husband to a sudden asthma attack, and she had a 5-year-old little boy. And I heard of her story shortly after I joined, and I'm telling you, she grieved for a good solid year or more and was paid a fine income by her Shaklee check. And many of you on this call know Margaret and are on her team. And that was a strong message to me then that I knew I was in the right place. I had come from earning a 6-figure income in a corporate job. I had left my job to raise my kids, and I wanted to make a contribution. And I felt like, wow, I can do that. So I set some of those goals for me. But really, for me personally, the intangible benefits, like I said, after 23 years in the business here now, it is recognition that I'm most drawn to. I feel it's important that Shaklee recognizes us. Growing up, I was driven to prove my worth, and I was an overachiever and definitely a top of the class student and type A sort of. Shaklee made me feel good about the work that I did. And they recognized me for that. And the feeling that we get of walking across the stage, if you haven't yet, you will. And it's an amazing feeling, and to be appreciated for everything that we do. We can be our own boss and we can work from home. And it was great for me because I had no family nearby and I had to do everything for my kids. But really, like the personal development stuff that you never really know that you need. And Sam was there too, right? Just emotional for me, especially now as my kids are getting older. Please forgive me, but it's quite a journey. I didn't know anything. I didn't know that I could do anything better. I didn't know I was doing anything wrong. I didn't know that it was important to look at yourself and to look at what your character flaws were and look at where those came from as a child and look at why you show up the way you do and why you do the things you do, why you say the things you do, why do you judge if you do, or why do you say the things that come out of your mouth? Sometimes you have to think about that stuff. And I didn't think it was necessary to sell products and be successful. And I learned through courses, and I found myself, and I learned how I could better serve people. And I learned that I could make changes. And I was blessed by giving much help to other people and getting that satisfaction of pouring into others and putting others before ourselves. I've helped people lose countless pounds of weight and get off medications and be relieved of their migraines and just help their financial situation. We've had countless rank advancements and rewards and trips and recognition, not for myself, but for all the leaders downline on our team. And it just brings me so much joy to be the vehicle through Shaklee to bring this to more and more people. And that's something that you don't see anywhere, being part of the Shaklee family and the Shaklee culture of helping one another. I've received some really special support from people across the country in my times of need with my teenage and young adult children. It's incredible. You can call on any Shaklee leader, and if you tell them who you are and who your upline is or who your downline is or whoever who's a little more visible than you are in the world, and they'll offer to help you for sure. And you have sort of an all access pass to anything you need anywhere in the country. And that's not on the dream plan brochure. And from
Mm.
that has come lifetime of friendships for me, and a fun and supportive community. You all know I like to have a fun time. So I am blessed beyond measure. I found my home in Shaklee. I am never filling out another job application for the rest of my life. I said that at age 42. I'm 57 now. I'm still not filling out a job application. And I'm staying here forever and passing this on to my kids. And whoever doesn't make it wins the consolation prize of doing Shaklee with me. So they're all motivated, but I love this company.
Okay.
So let's
Oh,
keep rolling. Sorry.
Okay. Okay. Well, well,
That was heavy.
we were going to start with a couple of stories to give you an idea of what people love about the Shaklee business. So
I think they got
Sam,
it.
I think between Sam and Pam, we've got that covered. Okay. So, and one of the reasons we wanted to do that is because we wanted to talk a little bit about the importance of understanding why each of us wants to have a Shaklee business. And the reason that's important is that when we share with people why we want to invite them to something, why we want to invite them to a health chat, why we think they might want to take a look at the business, it connects us. It's the real part of us that they get to hear. And we learn about that by sharing our stories. As you just heard, with Sam and talking about the health transformations that occurred in her family. And there are many. That's why we encourage you to click around in Better Health in 31 Days and click around in the Shaklee.tv and hear those stories and how they have impacted people, and understand why we want to share what we are learning with others and pay it forward. There's lots of reasons, lots of whys, including we want to share stories about why we wanted to create a business. So you just heard Sam and Pam. I didn't realize their names were going to rhyme when I set that up, but you'll remember it that way. And to share and learn how to articulate about what we want this business to produce for ourselves and our family, and then what it could mean for others. And as we are beginning our Shaklee business, you want to give a little thought to the vision that you have for your business. And in the beginning, you may not know enough to even know what kind of a business you want to have. That's why it's important to hear all these stories, because with each one, you'll start to get a picture of what you want to create. I know for Katie Odom, she said, I see myself creating a community of moms who help our moms get healthy again, and then help their kids get healthy, just like Sam and Pam's stories. I know for Becky, when her last child was leaving the home, that's a kind of an emotional time for moms who have dedicated the last, 18 or more years to your life has revolved around these kids, and then they're gone, and it also is probably the first time for most women that they have the most freedom they've ever had in their lives. And so the idea of creating something that's theirs, something that they can build to make a contribution is, it was Becky's vision, right? So we want to figure out what is the vision for each one of us. And the importance of this we learned from a man named Simon Sinek. If you haven't heard Simon Sinek, he has a couple of great TED Talks, but this is really an important thing. He said, understand that people don't buy what we sell. They buy why we sell it. It's the why of it that connect us to people and causes them to lean in. And they don't buy what we do. They buy why we do it. So we want to learn how to articulate that when we speak with them. So making the connection is absolutely our goal. The success of our businesses and, frankly, of our lives is enhanced by our ability to create meaningful relationships. And those relationships, at least in part, are built on meaningful conversations. The better we can get at asking questions and listening, the better we can get at being understanding, being empathetic when we're in conversations with people, the more authentic our conversations become. So step one in building relationships, and if you haven't heard it before, you'll hear it now, Shaklee is a relationship business. That's why it has so much meaning to Sam and to Pam. And building relationships has to begin with us understanding who we are and why we have connected to Shaklee. So that's going to be in our action steps today, is to begin thinking about that and working on that. It's one of the most important things that we can bring to our conversations. This was an example, one of the samples that we had from an earlier training that I thought I would share. And this is just to give you an idea of what it might sound like when you talk about why you are doing this. In the process of developing a Shaklee business, I've come to understand more about who I am and why I feel so connected to Shaklee. Almost exactly what Sam just said. I've realized that I want my life to be about giving back, or you might say, or contributing to some level of greater good. Or you might say helping others to live healthier lives. Or maybe it's because you want to be a model for your children to see that your life has purpose. Or maybe it's to empower others to achieve their dreams. It's whatever it is, that's what fits in there. And that's what Shaklee has allowed me to do, to be more of who I am. Well said by Sam earlier. Now, there are a few principles of approaching. They look like 5 quick bullet points, but they take some practice. Sometimes you will hear someone share a health issue, and you know exactly what you think they should take. And so it's so tempting just to say, all right, here's what you need to take for allergies. Here's what you need to take for that stress. However, people don't like to be told what to do. And so we learn to ask questions gently to discover needs and wants and interests and concerns. We don't tell people what they should do, what they should be taking, what they should be eating. We ask questions to discover needs. And then, this is the hard part, we practice what's called active listening, which is when we listen so intently that when they get done speaking, we can feed back to them, summarize what we just heard them say. So what I hear you saying is you've kind of run the medical route with allergy medications, and you don't like the way they make you feel, or you Googled it and you saw the side effects of them, and you're kind of looking for something that would be safer and more natural. Is that right? And then they go, yes, thank you. I came across a quote about being listened to is so much like being loved. It's impossible to tell the difference. I saw another one that said, are you listening, or are you just waiting for the other person to stop talking so that you can talk, so that you can react, so that you can respond? That's about being a good listener, is being fully present when people are speaking. It's a skill and it takes practice, I will tell you. Now, the third bullet point is interesting. When it is your turn to talk, when you want to offer a possible solution, there are 2 ways you can do that. You can say, okay, well, I got it. Look, I know exactly what you should do for those allergies, right? I know exactly what you need to do. You need to take this and this. That kind of makes us sound like a know-it-all, right? When we kind of like tell people what we think they should do or what we know they should do, right? It's much softer and it's much more respectful when we stand with that person, when we're responding to them, and share that how you had learned this from some third party. You might say, yes, there is a woman in one of my colleagues in Shackley who had some of the worst allergies I'd ever heard. And this is what she took that was so helpful. And I would, kind of summarize her story and tell a little bit like that. It came from this woman. Or I was listening to a health chat just a month or so ago about gut health, and this is what they said about that. So it comes from a book you read, a podcast you heard, a conversation you had, a story that you know. It comes from someplace outside of yourself. Does that make sense? So we're not the know-it-all. We have it come from someplace, right? That's third party reference. And then we avoid offering a solution until a problem has been acknowledged. That means your kids have been sick all winter long. My goodness. I mean, you got to get those kids on some, and they haven't acknowledged that their kids have been sick all winter long. And we do this with our sisters and our best friends and our mothers and our, we can't acknowledge that someone has a problem until we can't tell someone they have a problem and offer a solution for it until they acknowledge the problem. And they acknowledge it by us asking questions, right? Okay. And then last, when is our time to offer some information? We always want to ask permission. Would it be helpful? I think I have a health chat, a recording of a health chat on that. Would you like me to dig that out and send that to you? If I were to send that, would you have a few minutes to listen to that? That's asking permission before we bury people in a lot of information. And then this is a wonderful phrase I learned in one of the first personal development courses I took. And the leader said, remember to love people where they are. That means without judgment, because the greatest need every human being has is to be loved and accepted. And that comes, we live in a world where there's a lot of judgment, there's a lot of blaming, there is a lot of passing the buck stuff. And this is a place where we take 100% responsibility for everything we do. We judge not lest we be judged, right? And we love people where they are. So what that means is there are certain phrases we want to avoid, even though we've probably grown up hearing them our whole lives, from our parents, from our teachers, from coaches, from, all of our lives. People talk about what you should do is, what you need is a good, what you have to do is you got to start on these vitamins. And we talk in terms of shoulds and have tos and need to. And not only do we do that when we talk to other people, we do that when we talk to ourselves. When I learned this, I realized I spent most of the day talking to myself. Oh, I have to get the laundry done, and then I have to get this. I'm gonna have to. Oh gosh, I forgot. I'm gonna have to make those phone calls. I would talk to myself in have tos all day long. And what happens is, what is your brain hearing? Is that it's a burden, it's a chore. I'm always behind. I have to do this and I have to do that. Oh boy, poor me. And instead, and we learned this from the Pacific Institute, he said, this is Lou Tice, he said, learn to speak in terms of choose to, want to, like to, love to phrases. And so when I talk to someone about getting started on products, I'll say, what you probably will want to do is add a few more vegetables in your diet, since we don't have too many going there now. What you will want to do, I think, is you probably will want to start on some alfalfa, because blah, 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 blah. You know, I choose to to set up those trainings. I think I that's something I want to do. It's choose to, want to, like to, love to. What do you think? How do you think messages are received in our brains when we talk to ourselves like that? With delight, right? You know, openness to receive and do things because we want to do it, not because we have to do it. And boy, does that help when you're working with children. So you want children to do things because they want to do it, because they love to do it, because they like to do it. That's that takes patience and that takes practice, but it's very effective. And then this is the connector again about the why, right? We want to remember in our conversations to share how we feel about what we do, how important this information is that we're suggesting they might want to listen to in the health chat or in the Facebook event or in the take a look at the business part. When we talk about this is what happened to me when I took a look at the business. You heard what Sam said about it. You heard what Pam said about it. She started out just to make enough money to pay for her product usage because she had 5 kids and never realizing that she was walking in to a community that was going to cheer for her, support her, just encourage her, that would help her learn about herself and grow in her leadership and her people skills. She didn't even know she was walking into all of that. Is when we invite people to something and we tell them how we feel about our work, how we feel about what we do, I will tell you, sincerity is never misinterpreted. It's never misjudged. People can tell when you're saying something that's canned and when you're saying something that comes from your heart, right? 4th bullet point is, Pam talked about this, people need to be affirmed and acknowledged. So whenever we are in conversation with somebody, you want to look for every opportunity to sincerely acknowledge them. Acknowledge them for their ideas. Acknowledge them for what good parents they are. Acknowledge them for the good job they do and at the block party. You acknowledge them for how much you appreciate being a coworker with them. People can never get too much appreciation because, especially for moms, you know, you heard Sam, is we don't get a lot of applause when we're changing diapers. We don't get a lot of applause when we've made a great dinner. You know, moms really, really need it, but who doesn't, right? Dads need it too. We need to tuck it in. We will want to tuck it in to our conversations when we are in conversation with people, and remember to tell them how much you appreciate them. And then we have some phrases that just give people a little room, right? Give them a little space. I don't know if this would be of interest to you or not. This may be of interest to you or maybe someone you know. May I show it to you and you can decide if it's something that is appealing to you. Okay. Okay, Pam, over to you. So we've talked about some of the principles behind connecting with people. Let's talk a little bit now about some specific word tracks.
Sure. Now it's time to talk to people, actually talk to people. Barb told us how wonderful and easy it sounds, but we actually have to do that. And that's where most of us just jump ship. So many people ask for word tracks and people have asked to download my mouth into their brain. And since that's not possible, we're going to try to do that a little differently tonight by giving you some word tracks about what to say. So the 3 simplest places to start practicing word tracks are right here: inviting someone to take the meology assessment, inviting someone to a health chat, either recorded or live up and coming in the next day or two. Sometimes in a couple hours before, I'm still reaching out to people and doing some last minute inviting, and also setting up a 3-way call with an upline leader that may be to talk about the business or to talk about something that somebody knows a little bit more about than you do. So lean up and lean into your uplines who can do 3-way calls with you. They will really help you. You take notes with your potential prospective new customer and new member. And then when the upline hangs up, then you follow up with your member and they'll tell you everything they thought about that call. And that is a great third-party resource there. Okay, so the first one I'm going to ask Sam to talk about this because Sam Classic, for those of you who don't know, you all know what the quarterly incentives are, right? And each quarter we have to get 30 meology assessments completed. And we've been able to do that every quarter in 2021. And we're in the 4th quarter now. And Sam has done that in the 1st quarter. She was the first one to do it in the entire company, I might say. And when Roger Barnett recognizes you for that, that's pretty amazing, right, Sam? And then she did it again in the 2nd quarter. Then she did it again in the 3rd quarter. Now she's working in the 4th quarter so she can get some extra points to bring her lovely husband, Brian, on the trip to Mexico next spring. So Sam, I call you my meology pro. And how do you get all those assessments? You've gotten well over 100 now.
Yeah. Well, I just try to make it very simple and not put a lot of pressure, because I think sometimes people think they're going to get tricked into something, or, there's strings attached. So I try to right away, like, make sure they know that like none of that is happening. So for example, this is something I say most of the time. I say, we have this amazing new personalized assessment tool that takes into account everything that makes you, from your diet to your lifestyle to family history. Now you can even upload blood work or, ancestry info if you've done one of those DNA kits. And then it just creates this precise personalized plan based on all of your answers, plus your top health goals. It's completely free. It just takes a couple of minutes. Would you like to send me the link? And that's really good to do if someone reaches out and just has questions about Shaklee or where do I start? This is what I'm taking. I get that a lot. Like people just will send me pictures like, well, these are all the stuff I take. And so this is a good way too, then to be like, well, this assessment will tell you if you're on the right track, even if they're not taking Shaklee products.
Very nice.
I like how you say, would you like me to send you the link? And you'll see these phrases peppered throughout our slides tonight because we do practice permission marketing. Would you like me to send you? May I send you the link? May I invite you? We always ask permission. We don't say, let me just send you the link. I'll send it to you. Like, good for you. They may not want it. So I'm going to ask for permission. I say that we have a new personalized assessment tool that creates a personalized supplement plan based on your diet, your exercise, and your top health goals. We're looking for some feedback on the assessment itself. It's free and it only takes a few minutes to complete. Would you consider taking the assessment for me and giving me your feedback? That way I let them know that I am going to be contacting them later to talk about the results of the assessment and ask for their feedback. There's another one. Barb uses this one, I think. I have a Shaklee business. Well, it's a wellness company and they've created a new personalized health assessment tool. It's pretty good. It raises our awareness about some things we might want to be taking a look at. The assessment provides some recommendations regarding diet and supplements, and it also explains why you need this, which is the really cool part. After you review the results, if you decide you want to purchase something, please call me first so I can get you all the deals. That's another part. We didn't give you every word, and we obviously sent the link in there, but we're trying to paraphrase a little bit and give you some pieces here. Feel free to take pictures of these screens if that's helpful to you, to get your words around you. I often put them into notes in my phone and read them later before I'm going to talk to somebody to try to get myself psyched up and get my head in the right direction for what I'm going to say. If you can commit some of these phrases to memory, even just some of the word chunks that we have, it really helps you. You can fill in the gaps around what, but it's very good. If we're inviting to a health chat, and I try to bold some of these things, I don't know if you'd be interested or not, but I thought of you because Melanie, you had mentioned that you've been struggling with migraines. or staying healthy or your sleep, you can put in what you want. Or I saw that your kids are starting back at school, or, I thought of you since cold and flu season is starting. Or I know you're doing double duty now with working at home and watching your kids. Like, you all know people like that. I've gone through something similar myself with migraines, or I know I'm right in the same boat over here. Like, you know, give it to them, tell them how you feel, tell them that you feel that way too. So there's nothing wrong with them. We're all in the struggle bus, right? And then what we found. So I'm not sure you're aware of this, but I have a Shaklee business. Sometimes people don't know you're in Shaklee, right? Periodically, we host health chats on various topics. I recall our conversation about how you were struggling with blah, 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 right? That's a connecting statement right there. Oh, she remembers when I told her I'm such a mess digestively. I can't believe she remembers that, right? We're hosting a health chat. It lasts about 30 minutes. We're going to talk about a few things. Can you jump on the call? May I send you the recording if you can't get on? This week we're hosting this. Tomorrow, I listened to a recording about this or that. So I'm calling to ask, who do you know who might hear about this call? You can say that sometimes too. And if you don't want to be as direct, say, I'm just sharing this information. I know people have been struggling with their immunity with all that's going on. And who do you know who might want to jump on this call? Who do you know who uses supplements and likes natural approaches? And sometimes they say, oh, me. And then they invite their
A
friends.
lot of times they say, oh, me. Yeah.
And if you're inviting to a 3-way call, I have a colleague who's been in Shaklee much longer than I have. Remember, you guys don't know everything when you're new, right? So, or even if you've been around a while and you're just not comfortable with your words. So there's always somebody who's been around longer than you have, or who went through that same situation, who might have some insights, and you can move that right over to a third party. And again, would you like me to? May I set up a call to connect the 3 of us? It's really nice and easy to say that. And you say it all in a nice tone of voice, not super hurried, like I'm whipping through these now, but, take the time and acknowledge them. And people need more love in the world, right? So we want to put that on for them. So because we do care about them, and we say it all the time, you guys, this is a relationship business. And if people feel that you care about them, then they're going to buy from you, because it's know, like, trust, then buy. So this is through this process of connecting and inviting, where they're getting to know you, they're getting to like you, they're getting to trust you, and then they'll buy from you for a long time.
Very
Okay,
good.
so Barb, now what?
So next week, we're going to dive into goal setting a bit, but we want to mention it here to give each of us time to think about it, because one of the courses I took many years ago, some of you may have taken it as well, by Rick Seymour, and it was called Great Expectations. And one of the first parts of this seminar that we were in, he would put this sheet of paper in front of us, and it had 50 lines on it. And then he said, okay, in the next 3 minutes, I want you to write down 50 things that you want. On your mark, get set, go. And I was completely paralyzed. I would write down, I'd like a larger house, and then I'd cross it out and say, oh, but my house is fine. Oh, well, I'd like it'd be nice to have a little bigger car so I can, have a bigger dog or something. I mean, I don't know what it was, but it was, and then I go, but you know what? My car's fine. I mean, whatever I would write down, I would like talk myself. I was awful. And so it was hard for me to answer the question about, for heaven's sakes, what do you want? What do you want in your life? If you could wave a magic wand, what do you want in your life? What do you want for yourself? And what do you want for others? They're great questions, and they're not something usually that we can flip an answer right off the top of our heads. So you may not be able to answer those questions immediately, especially until you come to understand how significantly Shaklee products impact people's health, and until you hear the stories of how significantly being part of our community and working side by side with business leaders who care as much about your success as they do their own, then you can begin to formulate it. That's why we had you hear the stories tonight. So it isn't often, right? That people ask us what we want, and the vision that we have for our lives. But here we do. Some people like to create actual visual dream boards, and they cut out pictures. They put words up on their dream boards that have meaning for them, something they really want. I was like Pam, I'd never been anywhere except Poughkeepsie. When I first came into Shaklee, and when I earned the first trip to San Francisco, it was, I had to pinch myself. It was like, really? Oh my goodness. I mean, it was so wonderful. And from then on, I just did whatever they said were the qualifications for the trip. That's what I did. No more,
But
no
Barb,
less.
you know what we
That's what I
wanted to
did.
do though? When we went there to our first trip, Rich and I looked at each other and said, I wonder how much it costs to come here. Like, how much is Shaklee spending? And I wonder if we could ever bring our kids here. And we immediately wanted to bring it to our family, to our kids,
There's your
to
vision. Yeah.
our team, and to everyone who we like to travel with. And we loved
Mhm.
it for the first day, but by the second day, we were like, who else can we bring? And that's what we
Mhm.
do, is just get the circle bigger, that ripple effect, like more is better.
Mhm.
And when I took my daughter on that trip on the cruise a couple years ago, she graduated early from high school. I said, if you get out of school early, I'll take you on the cruise. And she went on the cruise. And the first words out of her mouth was like, oh my gosh, like, you know, a whole lot of people here. Like, there's a whole bunch of people here that you know. She met Roger
Yeah.
Barnett and everything. And she was like, now I know why you work so hard to get on these trips every year. I'm like, right.
Mhm.
Yes.
But
It's the
Hans
best
always
secret.
says,
Yeah,
Hans always says it's like going on vacation and taking all your best friends with you.
that's right.
So,
So fun.
so here are some of the questions to help us get a picture of that. Where, if we could wave the magic wand, where would we want to live? How would our day look? How would we want to spend the day? What kind of people would we want to be working beside? What kind of contribution would we want to be making? How would we want to grow as a person? What would we like to get better at? And what does it say at the bottom?
What do we want to learn?
What would we want to learn? Right. So give it some thought for this week, and don't stop yourself the way I did. Just let it go. Write it down. It's almost spooky what happens when we do that. We'll talk about that a little bit more next week. So we're at action steps. So Pam went through and Sam bit with some word tracks that might be a fit for you. You might have heard yourself say, oh, I could never say that. Oh, but that's I would hear myself saying that. That's why we give you a whole variety. And now it's time to make some lists. Just make a list of people that you think might appreciate knowing about Shaklee products. People who are environmentalists, people on a budget. Cleaning products are really inexpensive. People who care about their skin and about their appearance. People who want to use non-toxic cosmetics and cleaners. People would like to know about Shaklee products. And then people that you'd like to have as a business partner. Think about that. Maybe a best friend, maybe a colleague, and just someone you just love working with, and they just make you smile, and just be fun to go on the trips with, to do the meetings with, to strategize with, to plan with, to encourage each other. People like that, and see who shows up there. Then we'll start talking about approaching them, right? And then review options for developing skills and personal development. There's a bunch. Now is when we begin the process of investing in ourselves, because the better we get, guess what? The better our business gets, and the better every relationship we have gets, the better parent we are. People buy us as much as they buy our products. So the better we are, the more they like doing business with us. They do business with people they know and like and trust. You've probably heard that before. And this is why personal development is so important for us to begin working on. So Pam's going to show you a resources page. There's a million great podcasts on all kinds, so many aspects of people skills. We'll show you those in a minute. One of the tests to see how we're doing is to ask ourselves, if I were my kids, would I choose me to be their mom? If I were my husband, would I choose me to be his spouse? If I were my customers, would I choose me to be their Shaklee distributor? If I were my business leaders, would I choose me to be their upline leader and their coach and their mentor? Kind of helps us get outside ourselves and take a look at ourselves and see what things we might want to work at and get better at. So when you start a Shaklee business, there's sort of inside stuff to do and there's outside stuff to do, setting up offices and getting checking accounts set up and cruising around in the Shaklee website, getting familiar. There's a lot of great stuff in there. Go into those training modules and see the ones now in Share Shaklee. We have Ruth Kutz joining us, and she's great at helping us navigate some of that stuff. So, so now it's time to do some of the inside stuff. So spend some time, write down why you want to have a Shaklee business, why you want to be a part of this, so that will come through when you're speaking to people. And then start writing down the goals, what you want for yourself, what you want for others, and continue working on Shakleeizing your home, like Sam talked about, so you can become familiar with all the benefits of each of the products. To be authentic and to have integrity, we need to use the products that we're talking to other people about, right? And Sam will probably help us with this a bit, but as you're using products, take pictures of your experience with them. Take pictures as you're making your shakes and put yourself in it, because that helps people connect with you when they see your face. All right, wrapping up. Over to you,
Okay, and
Pam.
the last action step is just announced this week, a global conference in Kansas City, Missouri, August 4th to the 6th at the Kansas City Convention Center. It's attached to the Lowe's Hotel. Not only will we want to register ourselves, but we want to ask who can we bring with us. So, so important that we're getting back together again. No more hosting global conferences at the Cary compound. We are now going to go elsewhere, and I'm happy that it's Kansas City because it's drivable for many, many of us. And if you're flying, it's not a very expensive flight. So it really doesn't matter where the conference is because we're going anyway, my team says. So we want to register for $99 per person when you do it by November 12th. So make a note, set an alarm, wherever you have to do to make sure you register you and your husband if you're going to $99 per person, or your wife, or your team. Go to events.shaklee.com/global conference, and we don't have to worry about hotels yet. Shaklee will communicate via email with everyone who registered first before they post the hotel information online. That's why you want to be registered first, so you can get a leg up on those hotel rooms, because you want to try to be as close as possible to reduce the amount of walking you have to do. And remember to check with your team, with other distributors, other people who you enjoy throughout the company. They don't have to be on our team, it can be anybody, because you can really save a lot of money rooming with 3 or 4 people in a room. It's very affordable. We spend very little time in our rooms, my friends, right? We're out and about with everybody. We just need a place to crash at the end of the day. So that's the deal with Kansas City. It's going to be quick, just a couple of days. And that's all a tax deduction. Everything you do about that trip is a tax deduction. And here is the very fuzzy limited time offer in this picture.
Yeah.
You're
My eyes
not
are
getting
going, huh?
tired. You're not getting tired. This is a bad photo. So anyway, we want to make sure you're aware of this amazing offer from Shaklee. I've never seen it in all my 23 plus years of being in the business. Wow. When does it end? Okay. 12/31. Double your earnings, join for half off. And this is important. If you get one of your customers or members to upgrade to a distributor, because upgrades count, or somebody that you know joins right away as a distributor, they will earn double commissions up to $1,000 per month. And you know what that means? That means if they get 3 people on the Prove It Challenge, they get $300. How long does it take to ask somebody, do you want to do the Prove It Challenge with me? And if that person says yes, they can make $100 back payable in their bank account by Shackley. They don't have to wait till the 15th of the next month to get it. And there's money to be had, and you can help people turn their financial situation from red to black by the end of the year. It's up to $1,000 per month. It can help with Christmas bills if they want to do some extra donating to some nonprofit things or things that are near and dear to their hearts. They can earn some extra commissions here. It's really an amazing opportunity. So $25 to join with any product order, and that is through the end of the year. So let's not lose sight of that. Here are the resources for information. You may want to take a quick picture of this. It's a lot of stuff that you won't remember right now. The mobile apps, the Shackley Connect app and the Shackley Share app. That Connect app has been a little sticky lately, but they continue to work on that to get the kinks worked out of that. That's a mobile office, back office right in your phone. It's how I do my business all the time. Shackley Share for tools and training. There's onboarding. You know, there's that little graduation cap at the bottom bar, that Shackley Share app that has all the onboarding stuff and the little courses that you take. And
good.
it's really
They're good.
amazing. It's deep. There's a lot of stuff in there. We're going to talk about a few things, but you can go in there and cruise around. Facebook group pages, certainly your team page. Barb has a page. I have a page with my team with Moira Gorski, and Harper and Katie Odom have a page together. Get on those pages, the ones that you want to be involved with. The Shackley Effect is a Shackley corporate page, a group page, those are. And the Shackley social media share page, that is a recent page. If you want to get things or share things that you do that are effective on social media, get in that group. There's a lot of distributors in there, and they are very generous with their stuff that's working, when they have reels that are working, when they have graphics to post. And Christy Lyons has her virtual assistant create a bunch of bundles and different stuff to do. She had a spooky, spectacular Halloween idea. I mean, it's just chock full of social media stuff, way beyond what's in the Shackley Share app from the home office. Podcasts are always good to be listening to when you're walking or running or driving in the car, or even when your husband is talking to you. Just put your podcast in the other ear. It's okay. Don't do that. And then we have websites. Then we have websites too that are helpful to you. Shackley.tv, where we find a lot of videos to use in our Facebook launches, things like that. Healthresource.shackley.com. That's a corporate site with product and science information, studies, different things. It's a really cool site. If you haven't looked at that, go over there. Better Health websites by our own Chris Spell here, who's recording our calls all the time. Those are a subscription thing, and he has some deals for group subscriptions and some codes and discounts he's giving away. We're working on sprucing up some things there, but that's where this call will be archived at betterfuture.training/your-name. It's in the chat box if you're looking for that. But those websites are very helpful. There's where all the past health chats are stored. And when you send somebody there to listen to a call about allergies, for example, I like to send them to the website because they can see all the other wellness webinars we've done. And they're like, oh, wait, there's one on arthritis. Oh, wait, there's one on cancer. Oh, migraines. Oh, gut stuff. Oh my gosh. And they will start asking you, and they'll start listening to more of than just the allergies call that you sent
Right.
them there for, right? So that's a great resource. And the events at events.shackley.com for the current stuff that's going on. So that's a little bit of the resources we wanted to share with you there. And what else do we have, Barb? What else is left?
Well, we're going to close with, that's a good one. We're just going to close with a quote that something to inspire us. And it came from a book by Sarah von Bruthnuck. I don't know if you're aware of her. Something More was the name of this one. And she said, I wish I had known from the beginning that I was born a strong woman. What a difference it would have made. I wish that I had known I was a courageous woman. I have spent so much of my life cowering. How many conversations would I not only have started, but finished if I had known I possessed a warrior's heart? I wish I had known that I had been born to take on the world. I wouldn't have run from it for so long. Nice. I love these inspirations. So we can do this, gang. So we're off and running. Thanks for joining us. We will be here next week, and we're going to start delving into that goal of helping you each generate 1,000 new PV this month. So we're going to be into action by next week. All righty. We'll wrap up here.
Nothing really from the chat. Everybody's grateful and they agree with everything we said. So we have the best students. Excellent.
Okay, good. Any questions we need to handle?
We're good.
Ruth? Oh, we're good. Great, everybody. Thank you. See you next week. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Bye.